not about physical detachment.
Mm,
It is about emotional detachment.
mm,
So it is the analogy I give is like this: if somebody is in quicksand or in a whirlpool, a friend of yours, you're walking and one of them falls in there, would you want to jump in there as well to help him, or how would you help him?
Welcome everyone to Growth Gurus on the Fork in the Road YouTube channel. My name is Matthew Tait, and today I have a very special guest, and that is Rajiv Thackar. Welcome, Rajiv.
Thank you. Thanks for having me today, Matt.
No problem. Now, what Growth Gurus is all about, it's all about introducing the local communities around us to these people in our society who are growth gurus. These are people who have gone on the journey, who have some solutions and can help you with any issues you've got in your life. And the thing is, they're in your street, they're in your suburb, they're in your town, and a lot of people don't know about them. And so I like to bring these people back up to the surface so we can all see them. And that's what this is about. And today, Rajiv has joined me because he is a meditation teacher, he is a motivational speaker, he is a spiritual coach, and helps people to overcome. Well, we'll find out from Rajiv what they overcome. And he helps them get back to that better place in their life. So that's why I love doing these interviews, because it shows what skills are out there in the community. So welcome, Rajiv. And I'll start off, Rajiv, by asking you,
Thank you.
what is it what do people come along to you? What's the reason they'll come to you? Like, what are their problems that they're coming towards you for?
So usually people come in from all walks of life and from all over the world,
Mm-hmm.
not only in Australia, where I'm located here in Melbourne. And basically they come because they are in a very challenging space in their life. So either with a relationship breakdown, either with depression, anxiety, some with suicidal tendencies, ideations, but it all works out to the fact that they are feeling confused and lost within. And as a spiritual coach and an accredited neuro-linguistic programmer and Ericksonian hypnotic things, I've done masters in there. So what helps me is to combine meditation along with the science behind reading the mind kind of
Right.
thing. I'm not a psychologist or anything like that, but because I'm a life coach and I niche or specialize in spiritual coaching because of my years of meditation practice, it makes it easier. So I'm also a meditation teacher from, I've learned that as well.
Yeah.
So that combination really helps them to see life differently. And while they're spiraling down, I teach them how to spiral up. And once they're in that position, they feel empowered
Right.
and they feel confident to take charge of their life and move forward. So my role is to guide them from, say, the pitfalls, so to speak,
Hmm.
to back to where they want to be, kind of, or at least in a
Fantastic.
much better position.
Fantastic. Well, it sounds like, so people are going through some dramas, they're going through some, breakups, they're going through spiraling downwards, and your method of combining NLP, Ericksonian hypnosis, life coaching, meditation kind of blends nicely together with those years of meditation experience. Fantastic. And yeah, it's a, well, just to let everyone know, I actually studied all of those things with you. So I think actually we went
Yes,
through all of that study together for NLP, Ericksonian, hypnosis, and life coaching. We did practitioner together. We did then masters like a year later together. I think we did, and then we did trainers. So we've
and
done.
speakers too, yes.
We did speakers. That's right. Yeah, that's right. So we've done a whole range of different things together. So we have a bit of a journey we've been on together, but it's been great to watch your growth
Yes.
in that space and see how you've then melded that together. And as a bit of a treat for everyone, a little bit later, we'll do a short meditation, which Rajiv has put together for us. And so we'll get a nice little burst of energy to start our day. It's early in the morning here when we're doing this recording, so thank you for that. We'll get into that a little bit later. So what exactly is there a style of meditation that you use to help people get over those blocks? Like what's your style? Like what is an example of that you can take me through?
So basically, with the meditation, I teach people open eye meditation.
Open
The
eye.
reason being, there are a couple of reasons why open eye meditation is very beneficial. Now, it doesn't have to be wide open. It is where you have even a little bit of your eye open or fully open, doesn't matter. The idea is that when the light penetrates through your eyes, it hits that part of your brain which secretes those happy hormones and creates that kind of a well-being within you.
Right.
At the same time, you could do it whilst you're driving, whilst you're working, cooking, and I recommend that people take a pause every hour for 1 minute and sit in silence and do this kind of meditation, which I'll let you know later today.
Fantastic.
And and that's where it's very beneficial because it brings you back to it centers you every now and on because during the day can slip out of our hands, as you would know, and we can get caught up into office politics sometimes or
Mm-hmm.
the workload or the pressures and all that.
Mm.
And we feel quite overwhelmed.
Mm-hmm.
And this brings you back in charge of your day's journey, so to speak, and your life.
I love that. So you're basically helping people build up those skills to handle the everyday in the moment. You're not having to wait till your meditation class. You're actually giving them the skills.
Yes, because meditation is like anything else, it's a skill. That's why we call it a meditation practice.
Ah,
So you have to keep on doing it to, like you do go to the gym to build your muscle power or muscle memory. Similarly, you do this to enhance your soul power, basically.
fantastic. So are there any stories that you've got from people that said, "Oh, I did this at work and it helped me here," where people talk about that? Any of your customers, clients?
Yes, quite a few. And the one that comes to my mind, Matt, is I had a person who came to my meditation class, which I run in groups at the moment on Saturdays and some weeknights. And that's when this person said that, like, I get bullied at work. I don't want to go back to work anymore. I'm thinking of resigning. But then my husband is not working. I've got family and mortgage, and I'm in a dilemma now what to do. Like, I have to be earning. She was a
Yep.
full-time person earning. And yet she says, I cannot. And through my meditation and the way I do my meditation classes is I do quite a bit of brainstorming, motivational speaking, as well as intersperse it with the learnings through meditation.
Right.
And I asked her a simple question and I said to them, like, how many bullies are there? And she says, primarily there are two and they team up with the team leader, then there'll be three out of a team of 10.
Yep.
But she says, like, the others are so scared of them, they don't want to interfere or help me. And I'm left as the black sheep of the team, sort of to speak, and I have to bear the most. And I said, who can you change or control? And she says, team leader is above me. The other two bullies, I feel they are stronger than me, so I can't change them, she told me. So I said, at least we got one thing clear now, that you can't change them. So I said, who can you actually change then? And she kept thinking and she's thinking everyone that she can. And she says, no, I can't change this. I can't change my husband. He doesn't want to go to work and this, that, and the other. And finally, it dawned upon her that I can change myself. And I said, now you're ready. So I said, that's when I can help you. And basically, that's where the journey began for her. And I explained, and through my meditation classes, all about things, why we are here, why things happen to us the way they do, what is the philosophical reasoning behind it, and how to take the power back. And guess what? In 3 months' time, she came back. She used to come every Saturday in my classes, and she openly told the whole class that Raji was right. The bullies have vanished. I said, what happened? Did they resign or what? They said, no, they're there, but now they're picking on somebody else. They have left me alone. And this is what meditation can do is when you take the power back in your hands, then all the others, which I call like rats or riffraffs, they just don't want to come near you because you've cleaned your aura so much
Yeah.
that it makes it challenging for them to face your aura. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's powerful. Sorry, I've just got this little ticking clock here. I'm just going to move this. I'll chop that out. Yeah, so I'm a big believer on that whole polarization of the energy, and that we attract these people into our lives because we're giving off a certain vibration, a certain energy that attracts these bullies into our world. But as soon as you change your inner world, that you're all of a sudden not interesting to them, and they go off somewhere else and pick on someone else who's giving that same old energy off you were giving. And so that's a fantastic story.
Yes, and the good thing is that like even after doing that, she still had her issues that she was feeling overwhelmed at times or less of herself in her personal life as well as with her siblings and others, and it sometimes at work, which had reduced a lot.
Mm.
And that's when she realized, because I told her, I said, there is something more that's actually blocking you from progressing. And she was got my trust by then, and she actually ended up being my paid coach client. So
Wow.
she did that as well with me because she realized that look, there's much more that I need to do. It. I might as well do it now, otherwise it'll be too late. And now she's actually going to start her own business.
And she
So
lets you what?
she's
Sorry.
now thinking how she can diversify. She's
Right.
now planning to start her own business. So she's trying to
Wow.
diversify and see if she can do business, then she may have to resign. And she said, I can then be my own boss.
Yes. Yes. Wow. That's
So you
fantastic.
never
So
know where the journey goes from a mother who feels cowed down by family or friends or work colleagues to somewhere she wants to be an entrepreneur now. So I see the power in both in the coaching world as well as in the meditation world. And the combination, I feel, helps people to overcome their blockages much faster and quicker.
yeah. What a great story. Wow. So that's empowering, isn't it? To have someone who has gone from being bullied to then sorting it out, and then to the point where she's built that inner confidence, or she's realized the heavier work that needs to be done. Let's just get it sorted now and then move on. And now she's looking to build her own business. That's incredible. And how did that make you feel as a practitioner?
Well, as a practitioner, obviously, I sharpen my tools, so to speak, and understand that what I'm offering is actually working.
Mm,
And then, and the thing is that, as you rightly said just a minute ago, is that like it is our attraction, what we attract, isn't it? The energy. And recently, there's a group in Australia on the Eastern Seaboard called mentoringmen.org.au, and they've signed me up as a mentor because they looked at my Facebook profile and they said, probably you could be a right fit. And they were looking for people in Geelong, Melbourne, Bendigo, all those areas. And they said, uh, come and join on board and we'll give you mentees, the young
wow.
men who are lost kind of thing. And
Yeah.
they need somewhere to get some guidance kind of thing. So that's a free service, but that's something which I love to do as well because I may not have mentioned this to you, but I also get invited to speak for asylum seekers and refugee groups.
Right.
because they are really needing this service to understand what is happening in their life and how to or heal their pain, so to speak.
Yeah, well,
So
they've been torn out of their own motherland, and now they have no home, and they're looking for a place to live, a country to accept them.
yes, and also their mental agony and pain that they've borne when you uprooted from one spot, you come on a boat, things that they've gone through,
Yeah.
like really, it could be quite devastating for some of us. And so they do call me as well. I'm trying to make inroads with the Aboriginal groups because that's the other one which I think is also bruised a lot over decades,
Mm.
and they could benefit from these, from the services that I'm offering. So there are talks on the way at the moment as we speak. So there are all things happening, and I leave everything to the universe and let the universe work through me. It's not what I'd say. I don't want to take the claim. I understand in my life that universe has played a very important role, and that's how it is.
Right. Fantastic. So, well, I can certainly say that we can all feel a bit lost. And I know I certainly was a few years ago, where I was like, oh, what's going on with my mental health, with my brain, and I'm stressing about everything, and so you do feel a bit lost. And there's a very big, certainly for us guys, nervousness to approach the medical model, being psychologist, psychiatrist, because there's this sense that we'll be deeply judged instead of nurtured and healed. So it's nice to know that there's options like yourself out there who can help us move forward and still not be looked upon as broken. We can just heal whatever's going on, and
And
look at
that's a
things differently.
wonderful point you make, actually, Matt. Sorry to cut you there, but
No,
you
no,
make a
that's
wonderful point because this is where I've found that people come to you are so scared. They sit at the back of the class.
mm,
They just want to come there and observe and say, okay, look, if something happens, I could just run off from the
mm,
back door and things like that. But they actually stay longer, and they gradually, I notice, they come and sit one level in the front, and then eventually they're there.
mm.
And then they even come up and stand up in front of the class one day and say, hey, I came in so scared, and today I've got this confidence. And how they've, and the word of mouth, they then have friends in the similar boat. They bring them in and they say, look, there's something Rajiv is offering, and they all benefit. And that's right. That's when it's a, healing is a very good way for people to then understand, okay, look, I've healed, I've got off the edge, but there's more that I need to work on. And
Mm.
then they are ready to work on with you, because there are so many of us in the world, as you would know, Matt, and it's not easy to gain trust if you are not in a space where you're willing to give rather than take. And I believe that I want to give truly from the heart,
Mm.
unconditional love.
Mm.
Therefore, they can heal.
Mm.
And then if they want to need help from me for some more betterment, so be it. You
Yeah,
know.
yeah. It's beautiful. That I think that is so helpful for allowing us all to approach people like yourself when we're looking to find a way through, when our brain is using us instead of us using our brain, and our whole system, anxieties and depressions and other things coming up. And to know that there's not going to be that judgment, and also to know that you're there giving, right? And so there's that natural reciprocation, I suppose you might say, when someone's giving, it's like, okay, well, I can at least sit here and receive, and then it allows them to step forward, as opposed to someone who's taking, who's saying, oh, and I'll take your money straight away, sort of thing. It's a different energy, and and then ultimately people are happy to pay once they've got comfortable. And that's a beautiful thing to sort of see that people are now stepping forward, and people like yourself, which is why I've called this series Growth Gurus, because these are the people like yourself who are just around the corner, who are there to help. So that's fantastic stories you've got there with your
Yes,
clients.
yes. And look, it because it comes naturally to me, I find this work really as a second nature to me, because my primary motive is to help others by through meditation or through motivational techniques, through my life coaching skills, so to speak. So because I'm not chasing money as a primary part, which comes to me naturally, mind you,
Mm.
because of the work I do, but because I'm offering things like, for example, my meditation classes, I offer first one or two sessions free to everyone because they need to understand whether it is. And people are scared today in the name of meditation because they think, oh, is there a cult? Is there something religion that they're trying to get us into? And actually, no.
Yeah.
Meditation aligns with spirituality, and spirituality is where there's oneness, where you and I all belong to one big family in the universe.
Mm.
And therefore, I reach out to you and others as brothers and sisters and say, hello, I'm here if you need my help.
Yeah.
And then there's so much of exchange. And the best part is that I grow and I learn as well in the process. When people come up with their issues, then you also learn from there, isn't it? One is how to give them healing at the same time. That giving actually heals you in return.
Wow. So you're getting a nice healing at the same time, having realizations from your clients as
Definitely.
well.
Definitely. And interesting you say that. Uh, I'm working with a couple in America at the moment for their coaching, and stories that are coming out of those sessions makes me look myself into my marriage at times and say, geez, this is what they did, and that's where they had a huge crack in their relationship.
Mm.
And I quickly started looking at my life, started working on myself whilst I'm still coaching them. And my wife tells me this has happened a month and a half ago, mind you. And she's saying, Rajiv, how come you've changed a bit? I said, really? I said, the hair grows every day, the nails grow every day. So yeah, there's always a change. So she said, no, 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 I'm serious. She said, I find there's something different about you. And I said, in a good way or a bad way? And she says, it's in a good way, but I can't at the moment pinpoint and name it exactly. But she said, something you're doing is working well. And I just said, look, let me finish this clients and then I'll tell her the story. So probably you're the one to know first.
Wow, I mean, love a bit of feedback where you're coaching someone else, and then you're finding that you're making a few adjustments yourself, and then you're seeing some feedback where obviously you're approaching your own relationships differently, which is that's a fantastic takeaway.
Remember this in your world, my world, whichever way, coaches, spiritual leaders, meditation teachers, we are all walking each other home.
We're all
It's
walking
not
each
one
other
way.
home.
Yes, we are. It's
Fantastic.
not one way because education is a two-way process.
Hmm.
By teaching, you learn, and by learning, you teach.
Yeah. Wow, that's that's deep. So, and I've always been very strong on the idea that if you want to learn something, teach it to someone, and then you'll see where the
Yes.
gaps are. If you want to internalize it, teach it.
When I was in India, I used to be part of a leadership training group and in high school, and we had a program where we used to go out to the poor people living in the slums. They can't afford to go to school, so after school, a group of us school students used to go out and teach them,
Hmm.
and they practically had to write on the wall, sometimes on the tree, because they didn't have anything, so
Wow.
we used to have a chalk and we would write with that and teach them very basics, at least if they can sign, learn how to sign, because if they then have to have any signatures or things, or at least if they can even do the basic calculations, that if they've given when they're buying something from the shop, and if they give somebody a $10, I mean, in our case, rupees,
Mm-hmm.
then it costs them $7.50. Then how much change they should get? So they're not shortchanged by the
Mm-hmm.
shopkeeper, so to speak.
Yeah.
And it was very, very, I saw, and the program was very aptly called Each One, Teach One. So we used to call it EOTO.
Ah, right.
And yes, and I used to learn as well the process because I used to learn how is it to study by writing, scribbling on the floor, rather than in a book.
Yep.
How is it when you have to teach with your fingers and mouth rather than books?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
It
And
deepens
how
the
is it
lesson.
to teach? Yes. And like, for example, if I have to even talk about a fan, they're thinking, what is a fan? We don't even haven't seen a fan, in that hot, humid climate. So then I had to say, okay, look, there's a book, this is a fan.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? So things like that. And you have to quickly think on your feet and understand where the other person is coming from. And these all are life skills that you gather along the way and then you use it in your
Mm,
day-to-day life because there can be managers who need
yeah.
to be told things in a better way than what you think you would want to say. So you again have to get into their mind and understand how is my manager thinking at work and
Yep.
how can I speak in their language so they can understand me better.
Wow. That's
So
brilliant.
it is a transferable skill. Let's put it this way.
And also there's that sort of belief in yourself as you're teaching where you realize that good ideas are still dropping on how to get through to the student. I think that experience that you had in India of, not having the books and having to figure it out means that it's going to certainly help you in your meditation, in your motivational speaking, and just that right idea just drops and having that faith in yourself that you'll help the
Oh,
people.
absolutely. I tried at Monash Uni last before COVID, so 2019. I went for one term and then of course everything closed and I'm a face-to-face learner. So I'd gone to learn Auslan. And
Ah,
the teacher asked in the first day, everybody, why are you here? And somebody says, oh, we work in an organization and therefore they've sent us or this or then the other. Somebody has a child who was deaf and dumb. So the parent is coming to learn. And then they asked me, I said, look, I want to teach meditation to deaf and dumb, the
right.
challenged people. And I said,
Can you
if I
teach
can,
meditation using sign language?
it's a language.
Yeah.
And basically, the best language to teach meditation is the language of silence.
Yes.
Because basically, you are still taking them into the silence mode and you can demonstrate that and you can teach it. So it's not that I can't. But sometimes if they've got questions to ask, that if I know their language, then it's
Mm,
so much easier to explain what I'm trying to convey. You know what I mean? And also
yes.
understand when they're doing the sign language to understand exactly what they're asking. But at the moment, because of this pandemic and all, it's on the
Mm,
back burner. So who knows if
yeah.
I reach there one day.
That's great. Well, now I thought we might move on to yourself. So, what led you into this world? Firstly, it sounds like meditation was earlier in the piece, and then the coaching piece came later, the NLP, the Ericksonian hypnosis, the life coaching, and then bringing that all together in your method. What led you down this path?
So when I was growing up back in India, at a place called Calcutta, what happened is I came from a very low socioeconomic background, and we were 16 in the family, and it was a challenging because it was a joint family. That's how we live in India, and as you would understand, there are lots of dynamics that goes on within siblings, within your elders, and things like that. And well, because of that, what happened is I gravitated naturally towards helping the poor because I know what it was to be on the verge of dipping into poverty. We were not in poverty, but we were on that borderline. So I said, look, how can we do that? And the good thing is I saw my father, he was a fantastic social worker. He used to help so many people, even without the family knowing that he's helped until they came and told us. That was fantastic for me to learn by. example, kind of, so to speak. And the other part is that I was very privileged at the age of 16 when I picked up somebody who was dying on the road, an old man, and took him to Mother Teresa's home,
Mm.
one of the centers. And that's when I met Mother Teresa. And I'm really blessed and privileged to then have worked with her for 6 years after that.
Wow.
And and that's when she taught me step by step how to really be giving without asking or without seeking anything in return. In other words, unconditionally.
Wow.
And the other part is how her faith in God, she used to kneel down and pray, kind of just even for half a minute, every half an hour, 1 hour. She used to do that.
Wow.
And she used to serve. And what I've noticed is she could serve so well is because she was unattached.
Mm.
So she was very caring. When you're unattached, you're very caring because you're not entangling in somebody's emotion and crying along with them, but you're saying, look, I'll remain stable and I'll help you.
Yep.
And that's when I also got into meditation at the age of 16, coincidentally. A friend of mine introduced me by chance and he says, come along, I'm going to some place you might like. So I was doing that at the same time. And that went on for till the age of 20. And then I stopped going to the classes, but I kept up the practice for a few years after that. But that's when you don't have that connection with the group and all, it sometimes can wane off, and which it did in my case. But I kept up with the work for Mother Teresa, and I was lucky enough because I got a job as a flight attendant at the age of 20. So then, when I was a flight attendant internationally, I used to go to Africa and Canada and London and other places where I used to work for Mother Teresa's homes there as well, called the Missionaries of Charities. So what I used to do is volunteer my time there and help people in Africa or Canada or London in the middle of the thick winter do their Meals on Wheels program at night, kind of
Wow.
stuff.
That's incredible.
It is. And what I noticed there, because I was so young, and I just thought, look, poor person has to be in tattered clothes and really without anything. And I saw the people there on the London, the homeless people, they had boots and they had coat and everything in those winters. And then why are we serving them? So I came back to India and asked Mother, I said, Mother, why is it that we're doing that? And Mother Teresa said, you know, Rajiv, in the East, people are materially poor, but spiritually rich. In the Western world, it's the opposite.
Right.
And she said, we need to serve both ends of the spectrum. And guess what? As my life progressed, and now that I'm here in Australia and I've learned my neuro linguistic programming and things like that, I realized that when I'm serving people, I'm serving really people who can afford to pay, but they are so much weak here.
Wow.
And that's when mother's words resonate with me. That Rajiv, in the Western world, they're spiritually weak. They could be materially rich.
Wow.
So there is a
Let me just let
poverty
that
of
sink
that, isn't
in.
it?
That's brilliant. So in the
It
Western
is
world,
deep.
they're really rich but spiritually weak. But in the Eastern world, they are materially weak but spiritually rich. Is that right?
Yes, correct. And that is
Wow.
so true. Yes. When I go to India and if I want to give, like, there are people selling things on the road, you like
Yeah.
the, poor people, they, whatever they have made at home, handicrafts or whatever they want to sell. And if I want to pay them 5 times, 20 times more, they will join their hands and say, no, my good is not worth that much. And I don't even have the money to give you change back.
Mm,
So you can either have it for free or pay me my exact price that I'm asking.
mm,
And I have to tell them with my folded hands that no, I'm giving it to you out of love. So you don't have to give me the change back. You can keep it. This is my way of donating it to them. And this is the kind of stuff that you go through because I remember once in India, there was a lady about 89, not sorry, 98 years old, and 3 generations had passed away. So her son, her grandson, they'd all died, and she was alone. And she, whatever she could get from her garden in the backyard, she used to grow some kind of beans or whatever. She'll bring it to the market to sell, and I offered her 1,000 rupees for $10, 10 rupees worth of stuff, which is, you can imagine, 100 times more.
Mm.
And she started crying and she said, "No, I've never even seen this kind of big money." She says, "I'm very poor." So she says, "I can't afford to take this from you because I'm only giving you 10 rupees worth of stuff." And I told her that, "No, you're like my grandmother and I want you to keep this." And
Wow.
she bowed down in reverence. And I said, "No, I need to do that to you because with your wisdom and your life, it's a blessing for us to have that generation. How many of us are there to be lucky to have our own grandparents in today's time and to have somebody like that?" So that's something good. And my kids, when they come along with me, they see this happening. They've now become very natural. They are teenagers, but they naturally go out. Even with my daughter likes to go to the city, and then when she goes to the city and she finds somebody who's homeless, she'll sit down next to that person, talk about their life, get them a coffee and a burger, and say, "Look," because I've told my children, if you can give your time, that's priceless. If you give them food and clothing, that's the next best. Money, you do it as the last resort because you could fulfill much more by giving your time and
Mm.
other stuff, isn't it? So it works. I tell you, it works. The
No, you can
energy
imagine that,
always goes around.
the homeless people, they're isolated and they don't have any time from anyone. And so that would be just very unusual energy for someone in that situation, for someone to, who's reasonably well dressed, to sit down with them and just talk.
You are so right because one of them told my daughter that you must be coming from a good home and a rich place, and you don't want to sit and talk to me next to me. What will others say if they look at you? And she said, "I don't care."
Yeah.
And that's how I hope that the kids take the journey forward in their lives. And I hope that many others like us, we do the same
Mm,
and keep doing and standing for them,
mm.
because after all, they are my brothers and sisters, everyone around. So I will not discriminate.
The word that jumped out at me earlier and that's sort of coming up again is attachment. And attachment
Mm,
to, like you're saying, your daughter doesn't have that attachment to the opinions of other people if they're sitting down with a homeless person. And Mother Teresa, you said, didn't have the attachment, for having to receive after giving, which is a human interaction usually. But if you're giving, you're sort of hoping, is there something coming back my way? What do you do to detach from that? Because it's such a natural thing to want a little bit back. It's the ego wanting something.
and that's what I teach in meditation. Very good question you asked, Matt. I think you're wonderful to bring this up. Uh, Initially, when I used to tell my family that I've learned a new style of meditation 9 years ago in Australia, though it has headquarters in India, but it's got groups all over the world, and I was learning. I came back and I told my wife, I said, "You know what? I've learned how to. I'm learning how to be detached." And she said, "Oh my God, that you leave us and go." And I said, "No, no, 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 no. It's not about that. It's not about physical detachment.
Mm,
It is about emotional detachment."
mm,
So it is, the analogy I give is like this: if somebody is in quicksand or in a whirlpool, a friend of yours, you're walking and one of them falls in there, would you want to jump in there as well to help him, or how would you help him?
throw them a rope, maybe.
Yes, a rope or a stick so that
Or a
you can
stick,
pull
or
them out.
see if I can pull them
But
out. Yeah,
correct. And why do you do that?
because I don't want to
Why
go into
don't you want?
quicksand with them.
There you go. And this is exactly what meditation does. It helps you to remain detached, so
Ah,
you are in a much more powerful position to help others. So you care better for someone, you love someone much more deeply when you are detached,
right.
as
I like that.
opposed to jumping in. Because then what happens is, if you jump in, it's like the other analogy I give is that you'll be on a roller coaster ride. So if the roller coaster, you know how it goes up and down,
Mhm.
and imagine you're like the Batman at the last boogie.
Yeah,
What happens? If it goes up, you go up. If it goes down, you go down.
yeah.
And what happens in relationships? today mostly is where if our loved one is happy, I'm happy. If my loved one is crying, I'm crying. Then we're not actually able to help,
No.
right? And the trick is not to ride on either end of the spectrum. Remain stable for both times because they are creating their happiness, they are creating their sorrow. But if you remain stable, you can help them definitely when they are creating their sorrow, but also you can appreciate when they're creating their thoughts of happiness. So
Right.
therefore, because if you get emotionally attached, what happens is you moved away from your center, correct?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Therefore, when the roller coaster is going to come down, you won't be able to say, okay, now I'll leave it down, now I'll go back into my center, because you already caught on to them. So you'll again go down with them as well.
Oh, yeah.
And that
You jump into the roller coaster cart, and you're going up and down with them, as opposed to staying on the ground and just watching it.
imagine the operator of the roller coaster, if they were to jump up and down when the cart goes up and goes down, they will not be able to control if something goes wrong with the roller coaster, right? So they
Wow,
have to remain in their position and they have to remain stable, looking from far to see if the ride is going okay, if something's wrong, how to intervene to do it, to a correction. And that is our role, or my role, as a motivational speaker or a meditation teacher or a life coach or a spiritual coach, as I call myself, is to be able to remain detached and then serve. And that's why I find people come back to me with their testimonies to say, look, I you helped me that I've really now been able to see life differently and I'm not falling back. Earlier, they've been to others for band-aids, and they said once the band-aid comes off, we are back into the back square one. And he said, now we are able to sustain this longer because I've dealt with that. Look, whenever you are feeling the way you were feeling before, remember you've moved away from your center. So remain
wow.
grounded and centered. And for that, you keep doing meditation as a practice on a daily basis.
That brings me to one of my questions: is how do you stay motivated to do the meditation? We all know how good it is for us, but yeah, you've just given a bit of insight. It's all about practicing that detachment so that you're not on the roller coaster ride.
That's one part, but the other part which you asked me is how do you remain motivated? I'll ask you this, that how do you build or gravitate in a friendship or a relationship towards someone? How would you do that? Why would we gravitate towards a particular person in our life or a
And
handful of persons in our life?
energy, like-minded,
Yep. And these
polarity.
are all experiences,
Mm,
correct? What
mm.
you're saying is all experiences, because
Yeah,
how
you have
do
to
I know they're
experience it first.
like-minded is because I'm having some pleasant experiences.
Hmm.
So meditation is similar. In meditation, you connect to the universal cosmic energy. And through that, you receive the peace, love, knowledge, empathy, contentment. Contentment is a very basic requirement for peace. Humility is the other one. So when you develop and experience those qualities, then you won't be needed to told to do this. You'll automatically do it because you'll say, I get the benefit from this.
Mm.
So that motivation is self-generated after that. But initially, yes, you're right. You need a mentor, you need a coach, you need a guide to help you get onto that track. And after a while, it becomes a habit. So basically, how habits develop is you do first 3 for 7 days, something new, then take it to 3 weeks, and then take it to 3 months. And then it becomes your second nature.
So we have to make friends with our meditation practice so we get attracted towards it.
We make friends with our own self.
Or we make
For a
friends with our
long,
own self.
for far too long, we haven't loved ourselves. We haven't cared for ourselves enough. Because usually, what people come to me, When I hear them, I say, tell me your story, and all they're talking is talking themselves down. I'm no good at this. I wish I was like that, and
Yeah.
things like that. And I'm saying to myself, there you go. This person is not loving himself or herself, and what he or she needs is to learn the techniques to love themselves. The moment you start loving yourself, you are your best company.
That's brilliant. It's so
Simple,
true.
isn't it?
Everyone beats themselves up mercilessly, which is why everybody needs some help. It's because we've been taught
True.
to judge ourselves so negatively against some random standard that perhaps isn't in our lives anymore, but yet it still lives inside us. And so it's about that relationship with yourself.
And the analogy I give here again to in my speeches is this, that like if somebody slaps you once, they slap you and they move on. But what happens thereafter is that you keep replaying in your mind and slapping yourself over and over again. So one person has said something nasty or abused or slapped or whatever they've done, and they've gone away. But by us bringing it back into our mind and replaying it over and over again, we are self-abusing ourselves. So now actually we are a greater perpetrator than the person who did it once. Now, very easier said than done, because the fact of the story is that like when the first time the person said something or did something which came as a shock to us, we very quickly created a feeling around it,
Mm.
went very deep in our subconscious, and it became a program.
Wow.
Therefore, what is happening is, for me, it is easy to say because I work on myself on a daily basis and I try to remove those old programmings and I help others to remove it. But there are people who will say to me, okay, that's fine. In theory, you're saying is everything right, Rajiv, but it's not easy. And I said, look, let's change the wording. Let's say it's challenging. Because people come to me and they say it's difficult, not easy. And I said, those are low energy words.
Mm.
Let's use another word, because if I challenge someone, what happens is they will rise up to the challenge, correct?
Yeah, it's a different
If not all, at
association.
least quite a bit, yes. But if I say, if I make life difficult for someone, then they are not going to, then they're just going to go further down, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's too hard basket, forget it.
very much so.
And this is what happens. Like there's a tree fallen on the road, and there's, you can either jump over the tree, you can either cut the tree and make again that road clear, or you can go bypass the tree and go or find another detour. And these are the different ways we navigate our life as well. Some people say, oh, there's a tree fallen, sorry, I'm going back home now. We'll cancel the picnic today. Some will say, okay, let's jump over it and go. And some will say, okay, let's find another route and go. So these are how people will navigate their life. And what happens is I help them to understand what was your goal for the day. Oh, my goal was to go out for a picnic. So I said, how much are you motivated? How much are you really wanting to reach that goal? And then understand where they are on the spectrum. And if they say, yes, I really wanted to have a good time with my friends for a picnic, then I said, if you really, really want that, then let's find ways to attend the picnic rather than saying, okay, look, it's wet today, it's cold today, let me be back in my doona, or it's a roadblock. Sorry, I'm not going to waste my time. You know,
Mm.
things like that. So, and that's the same thing with meditation. It is challenging. So people will say, oh, look, one person came to me for meditation and he says, Rajiv, I won't be meditating with you. And I said, up to you, it's your call. And I said, but can I ask you why? He said, because I went to Bali, and he says, my friend took me there. In 20 minutes, I got so bored, I just ran out of that place and never again meditation. And this time I said, okay, do you want to give a try? And I gave you only 5 minutes to run. So you can run away even after 5 minutes if you want to. And guess what? He said for the full 2 hour session that I had,
Wow.
because he says, this is something which is different, what you do. because he says, I never thought, because rather than just chanting something or close your eyes and sit in silence for those 20 minutes, obviously you're getting bored and running away. So there are techniques that you learn in meditation as well.
Fantastic. Well, you've really gone on quite a journey, Rajiv, and I'm just mindful of time. How much time do you need for our little meditation? Do you need 5 minutes, 10 minutes? What were you thinking?
Yeah, 5 minutes should do. That's not a bad
Five
idea.
minutes? You've got a little meditation in store for us, Rajiv.
Yeah, if you want to, yes, by
That
all
would
means.
be wonderful. And so I'll hand it over to you. I'll put myself on mute and I'll let you run for as long as you need.
Before you do that, I would like to thank you and your audience. And the fact is that, like, when we sit in meditation, what we do is we let ourselves fully go with the flow.
Mm.
So if you come across any resistance, just understand that there is Rajiv on the other end. I'm not alone. I just want to let myself go with the flow.
Mhm.
And if you or any of your audience wants to reach out to me, I'm more than happy to be contacted by phone on 0421 498 311, or they can send me a Facebook request. I'm Rajiv Thackar on Facebook, so they could get me there as well, and more than happy to connect. So
Fantastic. Well,
thank you for your
you've
time today.
beaten me to the punch because I was going to ask you how can people reach out to you. So you've just answered that beautifully. Thank you. I'll put those details into the YouTube video we create from this, so everyone can get the details down below.
Happy to help anytime.
Fantastic. All
Thank
right, so
you.
I'll put myself on mute now and I'll let you run the next 5 minutes. Thank you, Rajiv.
Wonderful. Just sit back, relax. You can choose to keep your eyes open or closed, whichever one makes you feel comfortable. And today, let's go on a journey inside, within. So as you breathe in gently and breathe out, let us step inside our mind in the center of the forehead, very gradually and very gently. Let's meet our friend within us, and that's our mind. And as I go inside, step by step, gently, very gently, I see a shining star-like light in the middle of my forehead. This is the energy that runs my body. This is my being that thinks. This is my soul that feels. I am a being in this body, and I am the master of my body and my mind. And today, I choose to connect to my real nature of my soul. That is serenity, calm, and peace. And as I center myself within this energy, I feel safe and secure. This energy protects me and heals me through its love. It's pure unconditional love. And let me see myself totally at peace at this point in time. And as I sit in silence, I feel powerful within. And this energy of peace is further empowering me. Now I see myself very clear. And the energy within my forehead is now vibrating love, calm, peace. And I sit longer in this moment, in deep silence. My soul is now emanating very strong, powerful vibrations of peace, which is affecting every cell of my body, throughout my body to the very extremities. And I see this energy vibrating all around me through my body, purifying my surroundings, cleansing myself as it vibrates. And as it moves further and further around me, my surrounding is getting calmer and peaceful. It's spread all across the room where I'm sitting, or surrounding wherever I am at the moment. And it's now even touching other souls, other persons in my family, in my household, and calming them too. This is my true self. I am peaceful soul. I am love, pure divine love. I am a powerful being. Let me remember this as I go through the day today. Trust you have a lovely day and a lovely journey on your life as you move forward, and you learn to enjoy every challenge and every moment that comes your way, knowing that you are in charge and you are the master of your life story. Thank you. Namaste.
Stay. Thank you, Rajiv. I was starting to get into my snoozy place there. It was great.
Yes, I get that a lot, and that's because when we calm down our thoughts, we do get a lot of rest.
Mm,
So yes, many use meditation as a resting technique as well. You're right. Well, that energizes you anyways.
yeah. Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Rajiv Thakkar. It was an incredible journey. We talked about Mother Teresa. We talked about attachment. We talked about that journey into what is it that people are looking for to overcome, overcome those relationship issues, overcoming that self-doubt, and then finding that center. I love the roller coaster analogy. Fantastic, where you're the operator watching the roller coaster instead of being on it, thrown around the emotions of life, and you're observing. I love your energy, and I love your giving nature. And the fact that you spent so much time with Mother Teresa was an unexpected little bonus from this interview. So thank you so much for your time today. And once again, if you'd like to repeat your details for anyone who wants to reach out to you, what were your details again?
Thank you, Matt, for firstly giving the opportunity to hear my story and sharing this with your audience. I'm sure uh, that the meditation is someone somewhere in your audience would like to use it or uh, enable them to be more empowerment and fulfillment. So I would strongly recommend that to people. What you do and I do in our space of life coaching in our own niche, which I do as spiritual coach, and I think you would be more into relationship or business coach. So these are the things which are really going to help the greater society and the community. And to reach out to me, I'm on Facebook, Rajiv Thackar, Melbourne. Otherwise, you could reach out to me by phone on 0421 498 311. And I'm happy to have a chat and help you chart out your journey.
Fantastic.
So
Thank you,
looking forward
Rajiv.
to listening from you again.
Awesome. Well, I'm sure some people will be reaching out to you after this little meditation and this interview, and such a wonderful giving energy you have. And I'm sure you've got a lot more people to help, and you've already helped so many. And at the same time, we're all helping ourselves as we heal others. So thank you so much for joining me today. This is Growth Gurus. My name's Matthew Tait on Fork in the Road, and this was Rajiv Thakkar, and another growth guru who's going to help you grow, who's just around the corner, in this case in Melbourne, but also available, no doubt, via Zoom. So thank you so much, Rajiv, and I'll see you
Thank
all
you.
next time. Thanks, guys.
Stay blessed. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Rajiv.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Rajiv. That was great.
Thank you, Matt. Have a lovely day. Bye bye.
You too, mate.